Hey family, how you doing? We here again, once again, Pastor Key with Pastor Key Ministries, and I'm here with this amazing woman, Pastor Shanetia, who is the overseer of Pillars of Truth Church. And you guys, we back here with series 1-2, and we are going to be speaking on marrying the fantasy as Pastor Shanetia. She gave us a little bit about her and a little bit about what that looks like in series -1. If you haven't went and watched it up on YouTube, you guys go and check it out because that's just the beginning. And let me tell you something. I'm so excited for tonight. You guys are going to get to hear from her, but I wanted to introduce her because she's truly special. And I love her to pieces. So I wanted to introduce her. She could have did it herself, but anytime I get a chance to introduce this woman, I'm going to take it. But surely, Pastor Shanetia, how are you on tonight? How are you feeling?
Tonight is a pretty good night. I am blessed by God. I am happy to be here. I'm nervous, of course, but because you know how to ask the questions, the right questions, but I am glad to be here, and I'm honored to be able to share my story with whosoever will listen.
Yeah, that's real good. And I'm glad to know that you are well. You look good. You just let the
as well you do.
Well, can you tell them just how old you are?
Oh man, I'm 48 in August. I'm 47 right now, but in August I'll be 48.
Yeah. See, I had to put that out because she looks amazing. Not torn down, not worn down, but she does better. She does better than me. She all in the gym and all that other stuff. But you'll get, if you go watch the series -1, it'll give you a little bit about who she is and what she loves to do. But we're gonna jump right into this. In series 1-1, you left us with understanding that you have children, that you were married. And in that first marriage, you ended, it lasted about a year and 8 months. And with that being said, when we ended, the marriage had ended at that time. And so we're going to just pick up right there with knowing that after that marriage had ended, was the child born before the marriage ended? Or did you have, no?
I was about, I think I was about 5 months pregnant with her.
Okay.
When we had that last spat.
Yeah.
Then I just, carried her from there, and he was in another state.
Okay. Wow. Wow. You see, that's very different. And I thought about that. You know, so is it fair to say that you knew you had that child, you had yourself to let him go?
Is it fair to say? Yeah.
Okay.
He had to, there was nothing I could do. He had to go. Like, I mean, if you, how many times can you, be cheated on before you say I'm done? And so, after the third time, I couldn't deal with it anymore, because it was a lot of, some people get away with it, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you the guy that get caught all the time, you gotta at some point stop the lies, tell the truth, get some help or something. Like I said, we were both young though, so
yeah.
But I had to go.
Ooh, what a bold woman you are, because most women, I had to ask you that because most women would stay and will begin to think that they would not be able to go on. And that it takes two, and it takes two to make it, but necessarily doesn't take two to really care for the child, although it would be nice to have to. Would that be fair to say?
You have to be pretty, special in my mind to stay in something like that. You have to be pretty special. But there are people out there One thing I would never do is tell people how to govern their relationship, because I don't know what they can tolerate and what they can't tolerate, But for me, um, I couldn't tolerate it the first time, let alone the second and
Mhm.
the third.
Mm.
And so for me, it was a huge deal, because I had the idea that there'll be no reason to cheat on me, because if I'm going to cook, if I'm going to have your children, if I'm going to go to work, if I'm going to go to school, if I'm going to make sure you have a good time and whatever needs to happen, I'm going to make sure it happens. Then I don't see a need for the cheating, right? So that was my thought process.
Yeah.
And that's why I titled this show Marrying the Fantasy, because that was my thought process all of myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Okay. And so after that separation happened, what was going through your mind though at that moment? Like, I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to go into it. What was that feeling as the woman who was pregnant, but the marriage had went? What did you feel in that moment?
Um, you know, it's crazy because I don't, I cannot say that I was hurt. I was angry. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the hurt came in when uh, my cousin was telling me what he saw, what had happened, what had transpired. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and then when he said, "I'm so sorry, cousin." And when he said that, I was like, man, this is crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
to hear it like I heard it, I was stunned. And so I immediately, by the time I got back to the car to go back to the house to address it,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that ride was a long ride. Because
Uh-huh.
I was trying to just be there instantly,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
couldn't be there. I had to drive with the thoughts in my mind,
Yeah.
and it was. I kept imagining, you know, he came home that night, and
Mm-hmm.
that morning he went out that night with a guy friend. He came
Mm-hmm.
back that morning, and the
Mm-hmm.
first thing he did was kiss me and said,
Mm-hmm.
"I missed you last night." This guy had me out all night, not knowing that I was going to find out what really happened. And
Mm-hmm.
boy, whew, I was hot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
hot. I couldn't
Yeah.
wait to get rid of him. And then when I did, um, it was nothing. It was nothing. I already had a son. I was about to have my daughter.
Yeah.
I just kept it moving.
Yeah. 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 I can only imagine that type of feeling. Um, but let's just move from that and just let's get to the point where this beautiful child is born now. And now you are a mother for a second time,
Hey,
correct?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. 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 What now? What now? Now you're not married. First marriage is down, and now you got two responsibilities.
I do. I do. I got two, and I'm looking for a babysitter. Period. I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
two, and I'm like, okay, can't go back to work. I was doing a lot. I was in
Yeah.
school. That was one of the biggest things, and I was sick all the time trying to go to school. But
Mm-hmm.
because I had my son as a senior, I kind of had done it before, so I knew kind of what to
Mm,
expect.
okay.
And at the same time, the help was there. He was a decent father for that moment, but
Mm,
at the same time, I was built to be a mom. I was built to be a mom. So it was like okay, I gotta find a babysitter. It's
yeah.
it's almost like you just could not look back. You just couldn't even. I didn't have time to sit there and think about what's behind me. You know what I mean? I really
Mm-hmm.
had to go forward quick because things in my life happen really, really quick. And so I had her. I was going to school full time, and I still had a full time job. And
Mm,
I had a little maternity leave, and then I knew before I had to go back to work, I had to get a babysitter. But the funny thing about it is God was always there. And I mean, he was never too late. You know, he was always on time when I was worrying about what's going to happen next or how am I going to do this or that. You know, I think the things that I worried about is making sure, per se, that I didn't have, you know, I had the right type of babysitters for my children. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
wanted some seasoned people
Mm.
to watch my
Yeah.
children. So I would go to my
Mhm.
aunts, you know, my aunts like my mom did, you know, go to my aunts or, you know, older women or, you know,
Yeah.
somebody that could watch them at that time.
Mhm. Mhm. See, that's real good. I like what you said because even in that moment, I have to keep going to this that you're single here now, and you are. I would say that you are would be a seasoned woman after having just one child. You understood it. You caught the lesson, in some form of being what it is to be a mother, and you carry that really well as to most mothers wouldn't carry it, and in that time when you found your babysitters, when you got that help that you needed, what else was it that you were looking forward to? Now that you had your two kids, what's next on your agenda?
Uh, what's next? You know, if we're gonna talk about a man, you know, is always one waiting in the wings somewhere. You know, I guess I was a little cute, whatever they want to call it. Um, you know, and so it's always somebody in the mix. That's all I can say. But what I did was,
Yeah.
uh, I was at that time. It was a critical time for me too because I was in the church, and as I was in the church and I was working and I was going to school and things like that, I was pretty busy all the time. But there will always
Mhm.
be somebody. Well, a man at school, you know, a man at the job, somebody somewhere.
Mhm.
Um, and so the thing about it is, I'm gonna put my thing on do not disturb real quick.
Mhm.
Okay. So the thing about it is that I never had to search for anything. It was just that a man was always right there.
Mhm.
And the only thing like at that time is that I was hungry for the word of God at the same time. You know,
Mm.
and I was trying to figure out who God was and what was going on. And I was young. I was like about 18, 19, and 20 at this point. When I had Tasia, my daughter, I
Mhm.
was 20. And so you know, it was kind of like, you know, it was a struggle. You know, I was trying to survive. So I was working, you know, as long as the
Yeah.
babysitter had the kids. And, you know, like I said, a man was always somewhere in the wings saying, hi, how you doing, beautiful? So, you know,
Mhm.
and I wasn't really dating like that.
Mhm.
Uh, but I was maybe seeing guys here and there, you know,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
then one would automatically stick at some point,
Okay.
which, you know, brought me to my second
Mhm.
marriage, you know,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
where this guy, you know, he really just, my brother introduced him to me
Okay.
because he wanted my brother to teach him uh, martial arts. And my
Yes.
brother said, I got just the person. And
Mhm.
I ended up training him. And that's how I met him at the time. But at the time, I was married. And then when that guy got gone, I don't know where he was, but he came back around and
Mhm.
he told me he was born again. He was saved.
Yep.
I don't know, saved from what?
Uh-huh.
You know, and he was like, no, I'm born again. I'm a believer. And I said, nah, get out of here.
Yeah.
Because he had a whole different religion where he wanted a bunch of wives and everything. And so yeah, I mean, he was just a friend. And then when he told me he was born again, we had a lot of conversation, a lot of conversation.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the Lord about religion, about the Old Testament, the New Testament.
Yeah.
So it really pushed me, like it pushed me to study. It pushed me to give answers. It pushed me to give an account, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then at the same time, he was a baby himself. It's like I'm trying to, you know,
Yeah.
tell him the way he's like, no, you don't got it right. And so we kind of
Yeah.
tussling with it, debating.
Uh-huh.
But they were real good conversations. They would last all night sometimes. And people
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand that we would go our separate ways. He'd go to work, I do what I'm doing. We come back, start talking again. And then people were like, what are y'all doing? You know, we wasn't together at all. We wasn't, you know,
Mm.
in the midst of that, I was trying to date and I was trying to date and he wasn't trying to let me date, you know? And so, you know, we end up getting married. You know, we never
Ooh.
slept together before marriage or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Uh-huh.
You know, so I found myself married again
Yeah.
4 years after the last guy.
Mm. You know, that's real interesting. You all said a whole bunch right there. But I love it. And just to go back, you said, you know, I was hungry for the Lord. You were trying to find your way. And some people would say, you know, they would look at that as saying like, you know, you need a man to help you find your way, or you need a man, you know, and you should have one. This is what we see in the world. So I was really excited when you said, no, I was hungry for the Lord and I was trying to find my way. I was trying to search because indeed, when I asked you the question, how old you are, I wanted the world to know that you was fine as wine when you really get dressed, when you really get your heels and all that on. And so you said it yourself, there's always a man that is waiting. And so you knew that. And so you never had a problem with who you was. You never had a problem with confidence because getting a man was never an issue for you. And so I found it interesting that you would, although you had them and they were waiting for you 4 years, it took 4 years for you to say yes again. What drew you to say yes again after 4 years?
Wow, you would ask me that, huh? Let me tell you, you know, again, I'm still young, right? But I got two babies. We having a good time, and I love children. You know, you would think that as a young person, you just, you know, wish you could give your children away and go finish doing whatever it is you was doing. But
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't my bid. You know, I had brothers and sisters that I loved. You know, I took care of and helped my mom with, and then you know,
Yeah.
now I'm having my own. So it's a joy to me. So
Yeah.
I was happy, you
Yeah.
know, and I had two, but I wanted 10. They had to come from somewhere, you know what I mean? And so what I did was, you know, like I said, I was really
Yeah.
trying to date other people, talking to this gentleman,
Yeah.
but he would always mess it up some kind of way. It's
Mm-hmm.
like he would just come in a house and act like he lived there, and he didn't, you know.
Yeah.
And whoever I'm trying to date is like, okay, you need to get rid of this guy. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't get rid of that guy. He's, you know, he's a guy, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, one day, you know, God had spoke to me, right? And I think I was in a store called Big Y. I was in Big Y, and I was looking at something on the shelf, and it was like I was saying, no, leave that guy and deal with this guy. And
Mm.
so I was stuck on that for a minute. And so
Mm-hmm.
funny thing, I listened a little bit, and I started focusing
Yes.
on this guy that kept coming over and wouldn't leave and
Yeah.
kept trying to stop me from, you know, dating. And
Yeah.
you know, I told him about it, and then he said to me one day, it was just one day later on, it was like, he said, well, you know, let's get married, but
Mm-hmm.
I under one condition, under a condition. So yeah, we gotta have 3 kids. Probably to this day, he doesn't remember saying that. He would say he didn't say that, but he
Mm-hmm.
said it. He said, we gotta have 3 kids. I said, whoo. Now listen, I was trying to
Yeah.
get 10.
Right, right,
I was
right.
trying to
Yeah.
get 10. So he was speaking my language, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I was like, okay. Oh, and then
Yeah.
he had a passion for the Lord. He wasn't all the way where he needed to be yet, but he wasn't far off, you know.
Yeah.
And he was a
Yeah.
real sweet guy. And
Yes.
I was like, okay, Lord, we're gonna do this right. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna sleep with him. We're not sleeping
Yeah.
together. We got married,
Yeah.
and sure enough, here come the 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back to back to back.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. 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 Okay. Yeah. You know, so I love that you said, okay, um, he was speaking my language. He had no idea what was already in your mind, what you had wanted. And so he came and is it fair to say that it was a great blessing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's real fair to say. Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah. No, he was cute.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
He was cute. Like the last one was cute.
Mm-hmm.
So I was and like I said, he had a good spirit, and
Mm-hmm.
we had three beautiful children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, so that sounds real good. So after marrying this man and you understood that he was speaking your language, now we go into the marriage. Just give us a little taste of what it is in the beginning, because we're gonna have to resume a little later, but we want just how was it in the beginning?
Oh, it was busy.
Mm,
It was busy. Um, we were trying to buy a house. We were,
mm,
we were pregnant.
yeah.
Um, we were working. We
Hmm.
were going to church 5 days a week. We were busy.
Yes.
Um, we had to make time for him and I. We gotta have a meeting. Like, let's go. Okay, it's
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty busy in the beginning. It's
Hmm.
like you don't have I didn't have time. We didn't have time to kind of look at what
Hmm.
just happened. What happened?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it was busy in the beginning. It was very, very busy.
Hmm.
You
You
know.
know, for you to say that it's busy, that would not be the normal, because in the beginning of the marriage, it is said that it's the love stage. It is said that it's the intimate stage. It is said that it's you and I bonding stage. And so to hear you say that it was busy, it gives us people who haven't stepped into marriage to see of how it could be,
Mm,
um, and that really is not all what people would say it is.
right.
So after that busy stage, at what point did it kind of settle down, or, or did it even ever settle down?
It never actually settled down. I had
Mm,
times, where I had maybe like a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks off of work, 2 months,
okay. Yeah.
and I could breathe.
Hmm.
But we were always trying to go somewhere. It was,
Hmm.
we bought the house. Had the baby. We were still going to
Yes.
church. We're trying to be ministers at this point. Going into ministers
Mm,
classes. I mean, it was so much going on.
yeah.
But at the same time, we had date nights where we would go and do his favorite thing.
Uh,
His favorite thing was to go to the movies. Let's go to the movies. you know, and so we would go to the movies, and we shared time together, but just
mhm.
it was more time shared together prior to the marriage than
Okay.
after marriage. So we spent, like I said, I had known him previously,
Yeah.
and then when I saw him later, we really had a full year and some change to really talk about, I guess, the foundation of
Yes.
who he is and who I am.
Yes.
And so in my mind, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, um, the way in which I expected um, him to react to life in certain situations, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Say it like that,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Okay. Okay. I definitely could take that. Uh and what I like is you said expectancy. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people fail. They don't go in expecting. So when you went into this marriage, there was a great expectancy. And was he aware of that?
Nope,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
no. I was trying to match. I was trying to match his fly. His thought was, let's get married, have 3 kids. Oh,
Yeah.
I could do that.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like this. I like to eat this. I like to do that. Oh, I could do that.
Mhm.
And so I
Yeah.
was trying to make sure it was all well, from what I could do. And I didn't consider some things. I missed some major things,
Mhm.
and one of the things was sometimes a man could love you, but
Mhm.
not be in love with you. And I know people always say that, but um, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want you with anybody else. So let me just go ahead and take it for myself.
Mhm.
And it's a
Mhm.
thing where sometimes people don't know how to love. And that came out later where, I don't
Yes.
know how to love you. Maybe I'll learn it later. And
Mhm.
I'm like,
Mhm.
after 8, 9 years, you have
Yeah.
not figured that out yet.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how busy we were. And then
Mhm.
his
Mhm.
escape was going to the room and don't come out till it's
Mhm.
time to go to work or school. And
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
and I'm out here doing whatever I'm doing, and we're not communicating until I'm done. Oh, I'm
Mhm.
done now. And now the communication wants to get started. But I'm done now. I'm done.
Yeah.
You know?
When you say the communication wanted to start, is that stating it wanted to start when it was too late?
Mhm.
Mm.
And we've always had good conversation. We always
Yeah.
talk about the Bible, talk about the Lord, always talk junk, crack
Yeah.
jokes.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day,
Mhm.
we never got to the core of
Mhm.
what we should have been talking about. We
Mhm.
kind of just played it safe. We went to church, we raised the kids, we got the house, we did
Yes.
our thing,
Yeah.
and we played it safe. That whole relationship was safe. And
Mm.
people thought that we were just so deeply in love.
Yeah.
Some people knew we weren't, but at the same time, if you were to
Yeah.
see us, we was just these happy people. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So is it fair to say that, because we're gonna wrap this up because we got a lot more to go into, but is it fair to say within this marriage, the biggest lack that one could ever do is not go into it with uh being totally open about what is expected as going into husband and wife, and making communication that number one goal, because I truly believe that there's a mishap, and that is missed. So what is your take on it?
I feel like I have to say that when you're in a relationship with a person, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, as far as I go, right, what I did was I missed those conversations. They happened in my mind, meaning
Mm.
I just expected that of him, period. Oh, he's a man. Okay, if we talk about a man, what do you want the man to do? You want the man to provide, you
Right,
know, you want the man to be in love with you, right? You want the man to really
right.
like just appreciate things you do. You want
Absolutely.
certain things, and you
Yes.
want to be a good father,
Yeah.
you want to be able to talk to him about anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy is holding great conversation about the Lord, and I'm missing me. I'm missing
Mhm.
the conversation about myself
Yeah.
and what I need and what I expect from him. I'm
Mhm.
missing all that. I'm just
Yep.
trying to make sure I can match what he needed and not worry about what I
Mm.
needed. And then when I did
Mm.
not get what
Yeah.
I needed,
Yeah.
after 9 years, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, that 10th year, I moved and I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I didn't get it, I was like, I blamed him. And what
Mhm.
I did was I waited for the first thing he did that was crazy, was just dead wrong. And I
Mhm.
said, man, I'm out of here, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, he tried to make us stay together. He tried to
Yeah.
mold it back together, but
Mhm.
it was just too late. It was too late.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt like, suffered a little while, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that could be a lot on one person, and I had to bring that part of it out with communication. And it is in the normal to expect that, because as a woman, there is an expectancy of a woman, and also there is an expectancy of a man. And you think that you should not have to do that because they should be full aware. And so, as I asked you previously, who you were, and did you lose yourself in somewhat in that first marriage? Here you are in the second marriage. And I have to, ask you, do you feel like you somewhere lost the way of what it was that you needed to be fulfilled in this marriage?
Um, I would say I did not, I didn't know me like that. You know, I had to look back to get these answers. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I, but I would ask myself, I mean, you couldn't tolerate that?
Yeah.
And I would say, in my first marriage, no, I couldn't do that again. I definitely
Uh-huh.
couldn't do it 3 times again. But at the same time, you go into the second one and everything seems cool. And it's cool because, like I said, we playing on the surface of things. And so I don't necessarily know uh, that I want what I want. You know what I mean? I just know that I'm not getting what I want. And so
Hmm.
it was a long ride. It wasn't a bad ride. It was kind of like a roller coaster a little
Yep.
bit.
Hmm.
But needless, it was nothing like, abusive or things like that. It was just that,
Yeah.
you know, I was not what he wanted, I was
Mhm.
not what he wanted. And I never stopped to think about what
Yeah.
is it that he really wanted,
Yeah.
but I matched everything he needed. I got it. But if he had his way, it would be a different type of woman that, was for him.
Hmm.
And for me, it's definitely a different type of man.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But I
That's
didn't find that out till later, later, later.
yeah.
We'll go into that later, later.
Yeah, yeah, and that's real good that you can sit here today and say, I didn't find that out until later, and say, listen, I didn't really understand that, I didn't understand who I was.
Yeah,
Because some people would say that it's poor behavior, or and it's not necessarily that, because when you really don't understand you, and you're still trying to figure you out, because you were young at this, I believe you were in your 20s at this time still, and you're still figuring it out, and now here you are with not just 2 children anymore, but 3, and so a total of 5 children.
sick.
And now your main goal is, I'm a wife, I got to care for the kids, I have this
Yeah.
this this going on. So
Mhm.
let's, we have an understanding that it was rocky in this marriage, and that yet Shanisha still didn't understand, and it's okay. And so this is where the learning comes in. And so you knew that something had to change. You knew that something had to shift for you. And within knowing that, just because you felt it, but also to pay tribute that you also is a saved woman. You love the Lord, you know the Lord, and you have relationship with the Lord at this time. And so now that all of this is going on, what is the next step? What is the next step? You're realizing that all of this, in that there is a need and it's not being met. What is going on in your mind? You're still married, but what is it going on? What are you seeing now? What happens that will
Uh,
bring this to the next
I,
step?
I gotta, I gotta, I gotta get rid of this guy.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And the funny thing is, it's not necessarily like I wanted to get a divorce like immediately,
Yeah.
but I was realizing that I wasn't happy, and I was
Right.
coming home to the same stuff. And then the more I was asking questions or trying to talk about it, it was too late at this point
Mm-hmm.
because he wasn't recognizing how am I doing something wrong? I've been doing the
Yeah.
same thing for years,
Yeah.
you know, and I never had required him to do the things that I needed until I was upset. I let it out late in the
Mhm.
game.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we did have problems.
Mhm.
There's some females in the way a little bit,
Yes.
and we tried to discuss that, and it
Yeah.
got worse. And then I got pregnant again and had a miscarriage.
Okay.
and then in the middle of that, I adopted Nikesha, my
Yeah.
oldest.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. So we stayed busy and kind of swept problems under the rug sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't
Yep.
just really address it and get it out. And
Yes.
so when it was time, it was like I'm done. And he really did try to make it work. He tried to talk about it, but at that point, it was just too late and too far gone.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, that right there was just a whole bunch. It was a whole bunch, and I truly appreciate you letting that out. And we just gonna stop that right there. We're gonna stop that right there, and we're going to resume, in our next series -1 -3 on our next conversation. We
Okay.
will go into that. But certainly, I had to take a pause because I had to take in everything that she just said because it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. But I'm so grateful that you are in this place to be able to share this with the world so that people can get an understanding, and at the end, I promise y'all, you guys go understand why it was given to her, marrying the fantasy. But if you go to series 1-1 and one series 1-2, you certainly can understand why that was given to her. And so I just want to allow her to have the last words, and we gonna be out of here.
Hey, listen, I thank you for having me. I don't know about all these questions and answers, but yeah, I just think that if anybody could listen, and it probably sounds like a soap opera, right? But if you listen,
Mhm.
uh, you really, there's some things that will come out later that I will explain that I wish I had done in the beginning, and it probably would have saved me a lot along the way, but for now, I just, if you never watch another episode, I just want everybody to know, like, whatever you thinking, the other person doesn't know it. They don't know it unless you say so. And so you can't play both people.
Nope.
In my mind, I can. In my mind, I can make
Yeah.
any man a good man.
Yeah.
But they have to play their part, and I have to accept what I'm asking for, but I have to ask for it, you know.
There you go. There
But
you
that's
go.
all
There
I
you go. There you go.
like.
She got so much in her and so much teaching, and I know it's so hard for her. This is not scripted. This is just straight off of this is Pastor Shanisha's life. This is what she lived. And a lot of people, believe that things are scripted, but I promise you this is not scripted. So as she's talking, things are coming, and I know as a woman, I want to know. I desire to know. I want to be nosy because I want to dodge some of those things. So I always thank God for those who have lived it and went before us. And I believe it's so necessary, for this to happen so that we who are preparing ourselves for marriage, that we can say, hey, listen, this happened. Let me go back and let me hear what happened and what I need to do to make this work. And so we certainly we don't take this lightly. We thank God for you and for this moment. You guys go watch it up on YouTube, Pillars of Truth. And you also get a chance and an opportunity to do a Q&A. It definitely, we leave space for you to be able to go and do that. And I know certainly Pastor Shanisha will be delighted to answer whatever question you may have. So we love y'all so much. We will see y'all next week. Thank you.
Hey, hey.